Hey there Cinephiles, welcome back to another video. I'm Robbie.
I'm Jeremy.
And today we're reviewing Mother, the latest from Darren Aronofsky. Yeah, this will be interesting. Let's do it.
Hear the music. Bond. James Bond.
Here's Johnny. Julie, we're home.
We spend all our time here. I want to make a paradise.
She redid all of it, every last detail. And she breathed life back into every room.
Are you happy?
I love you. Please, come in.
Hello.
Hello. He's a stranger. We're just gonna let him sleep in our house. Hello. Hello. Did you know he had a wife?
Mother is the latest film from Darren Aronofsky and it stars Javier Bardem and Jennifer Lawrence and Ed Harris and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, it's pretty much about Javier Bardem's like a poet, and he lives this sort of tranquil life with Jennifer Lawrence, and it's like a peaceful couple essentially, and then their whole existence just gets flipped upside down when suddenly two intruders sort of make themselves at home essentially.
Yeah. So this film's going to be really hard to talk about without giving any spoilers away. So we will give a very brief couple of minute just general thoughts on the film. We'll give our star rating and then we'll give fair warning for those of you who haven't seen the film. We're going to delve into spoilers because we can't really talk much about this movie without going into spoilers.
Yeah.
So our general thoughts, I mean, people need to know going in, this is definitely not for everyone.
Yes.
You really need to know what kind of movie you like. If you're there for entertainment and for a good thriller or horror, don't go see this movie because the trailer is very it misrepresents the film very badly.
Yeah.
It comes with, sorry.
No, oh yeah, you keep going.
Oh, it feels like the trailer to me, before I knew what it was really going to be about, I got a bit of a Hitchcock, very kind of like claustrophobic horror, home invasion kind of feel.
Yeah.
It is not that.
No, completely different.
Yeah,
like, completely different.
So, if you know Darren Aronofsky's films and you've liked his films in the past, there's a chance you might like this movie. If you don't like Aronofsky's style, don't go see this movie because this is the most Aronofsky film that's ever been out.
It's creepy, like it's not for the faint-hearted.
No.
Essentially, it's the first 45 minutes are kind of boring. Not much really happens.
I even got a bit restless.
Yeah. It picks up really quickly, and then it slows down a little bit in the second act, and then from the second half of the second act and the third act, it's off the hook.
It's insane.
Yeah, it goes crazy. Like I had a straw that I was from my drink. I started chewing it and like ripping it to pieces.
I could hear you.
Like
Yeah.
If you're not into that kind of film, it's a no go.
Like, this is a hard watch. So Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem are excellent in the film.
Yeah.
So is Michelle Pfeiffer and Ed Harris. But the film is all on Jennifer Lawrence's shoulders. We see the film entirely through her eyes. The camera is constantly either in her face or following her with over-the-shoulder shots. There's barely a shot where it's not that. So it's almost like every emotion that Jennifer Lawrence feels, you feel.
Yeah.
Just because it's so up in her in her personal space the entire time. And it's like I said earlier, this is hard to sit through.
Yeah.
And like we can't really go into it right now, non-spoilers, but this is obviously come from a very dark spot within Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah.
He obviously had a lot to say.
Yeah.
Want to get out there. I just didn't like experiencing it. Like,
Yeah. Essentially, if you get told what it's about and what it's like, and you're interested, go and see it for yourself and experience it yourself.
Yeah.
This is a kind of movie where a simple review won't exactly do it justice.
Yeah.
Like if you want to experience the movie, the only way to do that is by going and seeing it.
Is to just go see it. Yeah. It's not even a movie that you can recommend because it's completely. I mean, film already is subjective, but this is just it's going to be so personal for people.
Yeah.
And I mean, I understood and I appreciated what the film was trying to do. I just didn't connect with it at all. So, do you have anything else you want to say before we delve into spoilers?
Not really. I think the only way to do this is with spoilers. Yeah.
So, we'll give our star ratings now for those of you who want to know. Again, I wouldn't even really take it on board that much. This is our very personal view. I know some people who loved it, some people who hated it. So, if you're interested, go see it yourself. Just be warned that this might not be what you're expecting.
Yeah.
So, what's your star rating?
I give it 1.5.
Yeah.
1 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm the same. 1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now, spoiler warning. From here on out, we're going to be talking about in-depth stuff for Mother. If you have not seen the movie, if you don't want to have anything ruined, switch off now and come back later. Here we go. Spoilers. So
the movie is about.
Well, our interpretation is.
Also, this is what it's been written about. According to. According to the filmmakers in general, the book of Genesis in the Bible. And that's the main interpretation you get from watching it. If you haven't read the Bible or even the book of Genesis, you won't quite understand it as much. And it's not just the story of Genesis, it's also details and small things that contribute to it as well.
There's a lot of biblical references in the film.
Yeah.
None of the characters have any names. No one. Mother is actually the name of Jennifer Lawrence's character. Her name is Mother in the film. And Javier Bardem is just called him. Michelle Pfeiffer and Ed Harris are man and woman.
Yeah. So the connection to the Bible there is Jennifer Lawrence is playing Mother Nature, essentially. Him, Javier Bardem, is God.
Yeah, which if you pay attention in the credits, every single name is spelled lowercase. Him is spelled with a capital H. So that's kind of a dead giveaway there as well.
Yeah. Also, he can't die, which we notice in a scene close to the end. Yeah. There's flames,
the fire,
and he's in a fire, and he just doesn't die.
Untouched.
And then you've got man and woman, which it's pretty clear to see is Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Ed Harris has a scene where he's with Javier Bardem, and they're in like a bathroom, and you notice a cut, like a big gash on Ed Harris's back.
Kind of level with the ribs.
Right where his ribs are, and then the next day, Michelle Pfeiffer rocks up, and it's woman. So.
Yeah, and those of you who know the Bible know that God made Eve out of a rib from Adam. From Adam. From Adam.
So that was the kind of connection. First watching it for me, I didn't realise that, and I was kind of confused as to why they didn't address that. But that was because I didn't know it was about the Bible when I first watched it as much. I knew it was, God and Mother Nature, but I didn't see Adam and Eve in those characters. Yeah,
I didn't know. I didn't know it was going to be to that extent. Yeah. I knew going in that there was biblical references. I mean, I'm Catholic, so are you Catholic as well?
Not quite.
No, but I mean, I'm pretty sure I would have picked up on it pretty quickly anyway, because there's some pretty on the nose references within the first half hour that kind of give it away. I think if you know the Bible well.
Yeah. I went to a Catholic school, so I know the Book of Genesis. I haven't read it front to back, but I know God created man and woman. Yeah. And that's where that comes from. Yeah.
And I mean, just the film itself, the opening, the very first thing you see is, you see this woman in flames, and then that's like the first second, and then it cuts to Javier Bardem putting this kind of crystal, this gem, into a stand, and then from that, like, the life in the house kind of like springs up, and you see like this form rise up in bed, and that's Jennifer Lawrence. So that's obviously God creating
the planet. Yeah.
And so then that's what the house is. The house is representative of Earth.
Yeah. And then so it's a big house, and And throughout the movie, Jennifer Lawrence is building the house or rebuilding it from when it was, because the story is the house was burnt down, and Jennifer Lawrence is building it now for Javier Bardem, and they live together in the house, and that's essentially Mother Nature sprouting on Earth.
Yeah.
That's what I got from it anyway.
Same, yeah. And then Michelle Pfeiffer and Ed Harris come in.
Michelle Pfeiffer, being Eve, is obsessed with the gem, which the forbidden fruit.
The forbidden fruit,
is what I got from that. And she always wants to touch it and look at it, and Jennifer Lawrence, being Mother Nature, is like, no, you can't do that, you know, Javier Bardem, God won't like it, you're not allowed to do that.
But even before that, like, it really touched on the whole thing of temptation, with her talking about, you know, asking Jennifer Lawrence about her sex life, and you know, this is a stranger, they've barely known each other for a few minutes, and they're already talking about, or she's already trying to give her, you know, this pretty intense talk about, you know, personal things, and you can see there's something off from the beginning with Michelle Pfeiffer. She gives a very, very unnerving performance.
It's creepy.
Michelle Pfeiffer is good at that. Like, she's great at playing not so much villains, but just unlikable characters. And this for me would be the best of them, because I couldn't couldn't stand Michelle Pfeiffer. I love Michelle Pfeiffer, but I couldn't stand her role in this, because she's so hateful.
She's creepy, and I think that was you contributing to her character a fair bit. And then she ends up breaking the
forbidden fruit,
gem, which essentially taking a bite under the forbidden fruit, and even though, you know, God and Jennifer Lawrence has told her not to, essentially.
What have you done? I'm so sorry. We're both sorry. I was telling her the story.
It just fell out of my hand.
We'll search and find
We can
another
pay
one,
for
I
a new
promise.
one.
Quiet!
And then in the next scene, you see their two sons come in, and they start having a massive fight.
One of them, funnily enough, played by Domhnall Gleeson.
Yes, which is a nice little reference to him. I mean, I didn't see it coming.
No.
We were both like, what? When he came on screen, which was good. It was nice. But the two brothers start fighting. And then
one kills the other.
Which Cain and Abel, even killed in the same way. Well, it's
similar.
Uses a doorknob. In the book of Genesis, it was a rock. But, same thing.
Very similar.
So that's something you pick up on as well. And then the next thing, I think, is like the fall of man. Everyone, and it's just like a massive catastrophe after that. And it just gets worse and worse. People keep showing up.
And it's like, you know, I've talked about other movies how they escalate quickly. This escalates like nothing I've ever seen before. Within the space of about 7 minutes, it goes from being this peaceful environment to just absolute hell on earth, pretty much. It pretty much goes through every single dark place that mankind has been to over the course of humanity. And it's disturbing to watch.
Like everyone starts piling into this house, like hundreds, possibly even thousands of people just bursting through the doors. They start stealing stuff. Jennifer Lawrence's character is freaking out. She's like, no, stop stealing, don't touch that. And it's basically like the downfall of man.
Man just having to take everything for their own.
And greed, and almost like you can almost see the sins, the 7 sins, you know. And it's just, it's hard. It disturbed me watching it. Like, it was like my worst nightmare. If that happened to me, if I was Jennifer Lawrence, I have like honestly real nightmares about that happening.
And I can see what Darren Aronofsky's getting at. He's pretty much saying that humans suck, pretty much. And what I found so unnerving and disturbing is that you know he's right with everything you see in this film, because he doesn't exaggerate with anything. It's all done metaphorically, and it's done in an exaggerated artistic form, but what he's implying, you know, is 100% correct. Everything you see in this film is stuff that mankind has done over the course of, you know, their existence, and it's disturbing to see it play out like that, because you just know that that's what's happening in the world, not just in the past but today.
And like you can see scenes where the house, like Jennifer Lawrence is like bleeding, and then the house will start to bleed and crack and open up, and it's
pretty much as human beings take over Mother Earth, she's dying from within, and because she's dying, the planet's dying. And so it's not just a religious statement; it's very much an environmental statement as well.
Yeah. So that pretty much leads us on to the final act, which it takes a further step. Like, it gets really serious. Jennifer Lawrence becomes pregnant, and there's obviously a 9-month gap that they kind of just skip over. Where we just assume everything's been fine because she has a baby, and
baby boy.
Yeah. And I think it's the morning after he's conceived. Javier Bardem, who's playing a poet, like a human poet, has like this massive breakthrough and writes this poem. You don't actually see what it is, but it's probably a poem or something.
Yeah.
And then for the 9 months he's still writing it, and then at the very end he publishes it, and then all this massive press, everyone comes to their house.
It's all fans and everything of his. And it kind of translates to pretty much, the followers of God, and not just regular Catholics and Christians who are following, but like the really intense ones.
Like the over the top, like nutters that you would read about. And then they barge into the house, and this is where you kind of see the character, him, played by Javier. He kind of, you see a lot of God in him, and he's well, according to the Bible anyway, he's very forgiving, and he wants to just give everyone what they want, and he invites everyone in, and there's hundreds of people that are coming through the doors, and he's like taking their autographs, and then you see him with the ashes on people's foreheads. Yeah,
there's actually a scene where there's a guy going around putting ashes on people's foreheads, saying, I can't remember the exact word, but...
It's like, forgive you of your sins or something.
Yeah, but that's not the word they say.
Well, that's what it's like,
They say, for the Creator or something like that.
And then it's like it turns into a cult film from there. It's just creepy, and then... and he's constantly wanting to forgive these people for stealing stuff out of his house and breaking things. And meanwhile, Jennifer Lawrence is flipping out because of what they're doing to her house, and Javier Bardem's like not even concentrating on what Jennifer Lawrence is doing, and everything just starts to get out of control. And then whilst the house is getting trashed and almost burnt to the ground, Jennifer Lawrence has this baby, which this is probably the worst scene in the movie.
Baby scene.
I interpreted the baby as being baby Jesus.
Yeah, that's definitely like that's a definite on the nose.
Yeah,
reference.
Like it's quite out there, and it's fairly.
Keep going with the baby, because I got another interpretation for that as well.
Yeah, well, so she has the baby, and then Javier Bardem sort of, he's there with her while she's got the baby, and he asks to hold the baby.
Yeah, she refuses.
And she says no, and then there's like a time lapse, goes for about 2 or 3 days, you can tell, and Jennifer Lawrence is slowly falling to sleep while Javier Bardem is just really creepy looking, sitting on a chair on the opposite side of the room, just staring at her, and it's, oh man, that was really creepy. And then Jennifer Lawrence sort of falls asleep for a second and then wakes up and the baby's gone, and you see Javier Bardem walking out the door with the baby, and there's hundreds of people in their house just like joyful and screaming, and then he's got the baby up there, and then he gives it to them, and then Jennifer Lawrence at this point jumps up and runs out after her baby, and like everyone's sort of like crowd surfing this baby across the room in the house.
And then you hear some noises which are very disturbing.
Yeah, baby starts crying, it loses its like robe, it starts peeing everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the next scene is probably the most horrific thing I've ever seen in
a movie.
Yeah, you want to go that far and say any movie ever, it's just it's messed up.
Yeah, it's pretty foul.
The baby dies, you can hear its neck get snapped as it's being pushed along crowd surfing, and then the next scene, it's been half eaten, And
all that's left is this carcass. It's bloody you see its rib cage, and it's just a dead, bloody heap.
Yeah. And then you turn around, and there's all these cult followers are just nibbling on these pieces of flesh.
Which is always meant to be the body of Christ.
Body of Christ and the blood and the wine. And it's
That
insane.
I don't get sick easily in films.
Yeah.
That was starting to make me feel very nauseous. I get what it was getting at, but again, like I was saying earlier, I understand what Aronofsky is trying to do with this film. I get the message he's trying to put across. I've seen other movies do it in a different way, and I just didn't enjoy experiencing this particular vision. Like what I was gonna say before, the baby was another interpretation I can see of it is that it's not necessarily Jesus. It could also just represent just everything good that Mother Earth gives the planet just gets devoured by human beings because of mankind's constant selfish desire to claim and consume and destroy everything. And it could also be interpreted as that Jesus is obviously the very obvious one, body of Christ, and you see them all there eating little bits of it. But that's another thing that I thought of as well. It could just be just Mother Earth just giving to the planet, and then it just seconds later gets just destroyed.
That scene made me unhappy. I was like, this is weird.
Not just unhappy. That scene made me angry.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah.
Well, the next scene following, Jennifer Lawrence is pretty pissed, as you can imagine, and she picks up like a shard of glass and just starts stabbing everyone.
Yeah.
And then the next scene is everyone starts beating her up like to a pulp.
Yeah.
And they like tear her clothes off and like hitting her in the face. And that was kind of for me like an example of the humanity sort of neglecting Mother Nature and just
not just neglecting, like going against Mother Nature.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, like beating it up without care
and that was a hard scene to watch because the camera doesn't cut away. It stays on a close up of Jennifer Lawrence from pretty much chest up. You see it all.
Yeah, she gets torn to bits.
Yeah, it very badly.
And then you see Javier Bardem come in and he's like, "Don't no one touch her." And he plays a very weird character. Initially, he's quite favourable because he's on Jennifer Lawrence's side and he's always apologising for bad things happening, and he's always like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, like I didn't mean for this to happen," and all of this, and then he kind of turns to like he's doing the same thing, but he's almost doing it on purpose. Like he's like. He even says, "I didn't want them to eat the baby. I didn't know that was going to happen. I just wanted them to touch it." It's like, well, I mean, she did scream at you to tell you not to take him, and you just ignored her. And he turns from a likable character into an unlikable character.
Yeah. I've seen a few other interpretation of the film, and a few of them have said that for all the metaphors and analogies that are in the film, there's a few mixed analogies where it seems to be hinting at something, but at the same time it's kind of like hinting at something else, and it doesn't quite mesh up properly.
Yeah.
Did you find that?
Yeah, I did. I don't know. I kind of lost a bit of the story and the plot. I lost the plot essentially. Coming close to the end of it, I was like, this is just. Yeah.
So I mean, and pretty much the wrap up is Jennifer Lawrence, Mother Nature. She's had it.
Yeah.
She sets fire to the whole thing. She gets rescued, or she doesn't get rescued, but she's seen carried out by Javier Bardem. She pretty much has nothing else to give him but her love. You see him physically get her heart out of her chest. The heart crumbles into dust as she dies, forming another. And out of the heart, he gets another gem, puts the gem in, and it's the start of the movie all over again with a new woman waking up in bed.
Yeah.
So it's obviously it's a cycle that keeps repeating and repeating and repeating, which could be a way of showing how man's mistakes are always just repeated, but
that's it really. There's not much more to it. I didn't like it because of the way it was depicted. I didn't like the creepy-esque to it. I thought if you're gonna do a religious story movie like this, I would prefer one with
It almost felt a bit even self-indulgent on Darren Aronofsky's part. Like he's been given this insane budget because normally these kind of movies aren't given this kind of budget. They're given half what he's given, but because he's the director he is now, maybe because of like Black Swan and movies like that, he's been given millions of dollars to do something that normally you'd only have like a quarter of that to do, and I find it's very self-serving almost. It's kind of like, him saying, I'm this creative genius, this is my vision, and just accept it for what it is, or don't. But I don't know. It was
overall it was not a good movie because it was creepy and weird, and it didn't have to be.
Well, like what I didn't get was as well. The whole film is a metaphor. Nothing in the film is what it appears as, but it still kind of flowed.
Yeah.
It connected. Nothing felt out of place amongst the metaphors. When those soldiers appeared, it felt so random and out of place.
Yeah.
It was like, so it's a war zone now? Like, why are they in a military uniform?
Yeah.
I get what they were doing, but again, that's what I mean. It just felt like mixed metaphors the whole time. Like, so are you saying the entire thing is completely abstract? Because up till then it didn't feel abstract at all.
Yeah.
It was weird.
It's
and
again, this is something I don't like about it, and the yellow powder that she was putting in her drink,
that elixir, whatever it was.
Yeah, that it has meaning, obviously. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put it in there. I think I read something that kind of explains it, but it doesn't really. It's still sort of up to interpretation for the viewer, I reckon. But everything up until that kind of time of the movie, everything sort of linked and made sense.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Worked. Yeah.
Like overall, everything linked and worked, except for those few things I don't get.
Yeah.
Another thing I thought of was which I picked up on from someone else who did an interpretation. The sink, how it's not raised, and so she doesn't like people sitting on it, and she keeps asking people not to do it, and eventually does because they just keep screwing around on it, and it breaks, and it pretty much floods everything. I wonder if this meant to represent Noah's Ark, like the flooding of.
Yeah, it could mean.
Yeah.
That was. It could have just been a nice little reference to Noah that he's done before. Again, it's things like that like everything has to have a time and place. If you're gonna do a movie like this, everything has to make sense, everything has to link, and it's just stuff like that sort of throw it out askew. That doesn't really work.
Kristen Wiig is in this movie.
Yes, there we go.
What the hell? She's in it, and she plays his God's publisher,
which is like a herald almost. She sort of expresses news and well, that's what they did back in the Bible days anyway. But yeah, she's dark though. Like if you want to see Kristen Wiig killing someone, like shooting them in the head, go see this movie.
Yeah,
because she does it.
Yeah, and then she said something after that. I can't remember what she said, but I was like, "Wow, really? You went there?"
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of those moments where with the film you're like, "Wow, you actually went there." Definitely stuff you've never seen on screen before. Stuff you don't really want to see on screen ever again. One other little thing I picked up on that, it could just be me just misinterpreting it, but at the beginning he has written something at the beginning, Javier Bardem, I'm pretty sure, and he's having trouble writing then until halfway through the film. But for that beginning bit, and then between the first writing and second writing is like the Adam and Eve, the Cain and Abel stuff. So I think what he wrote there is meant to represent the Old Testament.
Could be.
And then when he writes something else again that becomes big, then it goes through the modern wars, like World War I, World War II, from our time, and that could be the New Testament. Again, there's something that everyone's going to get a different interpretation with this film. So, I'm assuming if you've watched this review, spoilers, you've seen the movie. If not, well, that's just us.
They've come here to see me.
Come quick! You're insane! You're insane!
All I'm trying to do is bring life into this house. Open the door to new people, new ideas. I'm so sorry.
Get out of my house! Get out!
You give and you give and you give. It's just never enough.
Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. That was our thoughts on Mother. What are your thoughts? Leave a comment.
A lot to talk about.
Yeah, a bit of speculation. If you like what you saw as well, hit the subscribe button. We'll be around a lot more over the next coming weeks. So that's it for today. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Robbie.
And we'll see you at the movies.